I'm Justin Davis, and this is Drone Camps RC.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Drone Camps channel, where you can find some honest reviews on tons and tons of different drones that are coming out, that are brand new, that are prototype, Cinewhoop, non-Cinewhoop, FPV racing drones, also camera drones, 4K drones, and all that fun. But today you guys are here to hear about the new Geprc Crown, and this one has kind of been a long time in the making, and we're waiting for Geprc's response to the 3-inch Cinewhoop craze, and here we are after many months of waiting with a 6S version of the Crown. And there are other guys out there who will tell you that this one is the best. Well, hopefully you're watching the right video, because this guy has flown them all. I've done reviews on all the 3-inch Cinewhoops. If there's one out there that I haven't reviewed, please let me know, because the other guy's saying that it's the best. Ask them how many of them that they've flown. So yeah, two of my top contenders are the Diatone Taycan and the Flywood Chasers. The Chasers did really well on the channel. The Diatone Taycan has been my #1 choice for you guys for well over 6 months now, I believe. We've got the full-size DJI unit, the air module right in the middle right there. It's not sticking up off the back like a lot of these vertical mount style Cinewhoops do. This one, the Flywood Chasers, has that vertical mount, and it's nice and easy to get to the SD card, but it has the top of the unit sticking up back there. And this one was great, but this one had a full top plate on the very top. No center plate release for that one. So these two have center plate releases. Diatone got it right. They did a center plate release, which lets you guys get to this stack a lot quicker. Around 8 bolts will get you into the stack. Same thing with this one. We actually have 9, 10 bolts on this one to get to the center stack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? For the very top. You do not, however, have covers over top of the 2 outside ducts, where Geprc was smart and kind of made theirs just a little bit lighter by taking and removing the outside carbon edge over top. They did it on the bottom. They did this removable bottom plate as well. So you also have a removable bottom plate on this, which is super slick. And we also have some components on here that are very nice. They are brand new versions of an F722 flight controller with, I believe it was 45 amp ESCs, 4-in-1 ESCs just under that stack. It is a 2-layer stack right in the middle with the USB-C port on the side for beta flight. So full XT60. We've got the Cadex Vista running in a backseat configuration with a rear spot for getting to the USB-C port right there. And we are running props out configuration on this one. And we have the Nebula Pro on here as well. So it has pretty much all the bells and whistles that you'd want. 1408 motors, and they have 2 different versions of these motors. These are the 2700, I believe there's 2700 or 2500 kV motors, the SpeedX branded motors that never have let me down. And most of you guys know that when I do a Gep review, 90% of the time it turns out good, because the stuff comes out of the box and it flies great without me having to replace or rebuild a quad brand new. And this one was not a prototype. It was actually one that came already factory sealed in the box and ready to ship to you guys. So these things are out there. They're being produced. They're done with their production. All of their R&D is done, and they're ready to go. So we got a lot of things right on this one versus some of the other Cinewhoops out there. And I have Crossfire on mine, so we're gonna go ahead and strap up a 6S battery on there, and we're gonna go ahead and send this one out for a flight test. My freestyle battery for you guys would be the 1050, the 6S 1050 by Tattoo. That's the one to grab. Your mid-range battery with your 6S 1300 by them. Brand new battery here for testing for you guys. And the long-range battery for a little longer flight time with this is going to be the 1400, 6S 1400. These are brand new R lines from Tattoo. So these are version 4.0. We're already up to version 4.0 on the Tattoo series, R line series from Tattoo. Super cool. So this one is going to be over 250 grams, but it's also one of the lighter Cinewhoops out there on the market. It also does freestyle and cinema style. So you guys know I love freestyle and I like to send it. So we're gonna go ahead and do a little bit of freestyle with my TBS Crossfire in the back and my Nebula Pro up front. We're not gonna do any GoPro footage on this one as usual, guys, because we're not gonna cheat. We're gonna show you the actual quad footage and see how much jello there is in there on this tune, on this F722 flight controller. It's actually pretty legit. So some of the least amount of jello I've ever seen way up high for the stock camera running on this quad. So most times when you get way up high, that's where you see your jello at, not when you're down low and cruising fast and doing flips and rolls. Up high is where the proof is, and no hyper smooth, straight camera footage today for you guys so you see the truth on the Crown. Here we go, guys. Let's do some flying together. All right, guys, welcome back from the flight review. So Yeah, the flying capability of the Crown is good. It is better than the Flywood Chasers. It flies smoother and better than a 2.5 inch quad. This one is very nimble and very quiet. So if you're looking for something that you can fly sort of around a park or a playground where people aren't going to freak out, the Cinelog is really, really quiet. And for like real estate fly-throughs, you can put a decase GoPro on this one. This one is going to be under 250 grams. This one is going to be over 250 grams. So, you know, guys that are looking to put a GoPro on it, this is the choice for a full-size GoPro. And that would really kind of, for me, determine which one of these you would buy if you were trying to go for the Cinelog or you were going to go the full 3-inch size. What's the big difference? Well, mostly which camera you're going to carry, honestly. And there's a bit of a noise factor with all of these versus the 2.5 inch. These are way quieter. These are way louder. So if you're flying this in a park or somewhere, you're going to have people kind of turning their heads and looking at you when you're flying these. So they are much louder. However, when you get on a nice cruise on these and you get out a little ways away from people or yourself, you really don't, it's really not that loud. But I felt like the power system on the 6S is the way to go. So if you're asking me which one you should get, the 4S or the 6S, I always recommend the 6S. And the 3 batteries that I have for freestyle, the 1050, mid-range flying, 1300, and the long-range flying, the 1400 6S. And I'll put 4S versions of these in the links down below as well, so you guys can get that going for your order. Go ahead and order batteries when you make your order. But the strap was also long enough, which I think is great. And they know that we're going to be flying some big batteries on these. So 1300 is going to be the average size. You can also get a 1550 battery, which is also really nice. But I love the center plate release. We've got 10 bolts up there. They did add an extra couple bolts up here for just making this a little more rigid up front for crashes. They've got that airplane aluminum camera mount up here for the Nebula Pro, which is great. Everything seems super low profile on this quad as well. They've got TPU bumpers on the very bottom, and some of the other guys, the other manufacturers, didn't use TPU bumpers. And what that does is that keeps this from breaking or getting a lot of damage in really hard bounce down crashes. And when I was flying this one, I did go for a power loop and I overshot it, and I came back around from my power loop kind of deep, and then I couldn't pull up at the last second. Even though I had 6S battery on here, I just had come around too low in that power loop to make it out of before I bottomed out. And when I bottomed out right in the snow. And you guys can see that video here. This thing hit belly down first and flipped over upside down in the snow. And when it hit belly down in the snow, all that snow came up inside here and was up underneath between the Vista, the ESCs, the camera, and everything. It was just caked under here. So this had to dry off for several days. But what's amazing about this is that when I walked up to it, it was still all on and it was soaking wet. I mean, ice was covered on the ESC down here. So I'm thinking that Geprc has some tremendous conformal coating on all of this gear. The Nebula is the Cadex Vista in the back is pretty well sealed up. And we've talked about that before on the channel, but this impressed me that this didn't short out immediately. I mean, I've had other quads that I've landed on wet grass. You know, in Oregon, it's raining all winter, and a lot of times I'm trying to dodge raindrops and puddles for you guys and not try to fry things. And this thing took a full slam dunk into the grass and about 3 inches of snow and just had it all packed up in there. And you know what? This quad is fine. It did not fry. Normally you'll see a puff of white smoke come up out of the quad, if not catch on fire when they touch water. So this F722 flight controller in here is really, really nicely conformal coated. So you can have access right here to the USB port. They also give you a 90-degree USB-C port adapter that comes down, so you can get your existing USB cable up in there. And on the other side, we have actually room for a GPS. So if you guys decide you want to add on a GPS, you can see SDA, SCL right there, TX3, RX6, TX6, 5-volt and ground, so you have extra 5-volt power. Your LEDs are there, and the nice thing about this board as well is that the Caddx Vista is already all wired up here. So if you didn't want to run TBS Crossfire like I have back here, you can run it from the DJI controller as well. You can also solder up any type of S-Bus receiver to it. If you want to run XM Plus on this, you can also do that. So for mid-range flying or short-range flying, go for the Taranis XM Plus for FR Sky radios, and that will do just fine. And also the power system, it did well on 2500 kV. The 4S versions are still 1408, but those are actually 3500 kV. So they're gonna be a little higher kV, but these did great. And I also tested out some different props as well. So I'll try to put some links down below to these props. These are also 3-inch props from HQ. They're a little more aggressive, but with the 6S battery, I was just looking for that extra punch for some of the freestyle stuff. But 3-bolt to release on the top and bottom will release individual, and these are not together, these are individual prop ducts. And I can't really comment on, you know, whether this Cinewhoop is noisier or less noisy than, you know, some of the top competitors out there, but I felt like this one was really smooth on 6S. And if you want the longest flight time, you know, getting you up to the 8-minute mark, you definitely want to go for the 6S version. It's just going to get you a much longer flight time. And if you're doing cinema stuff, you know, when you're running that pretty large 1400 battery, 6S 1400 is quite a beastie battery. You're not gonna feel it as much with the additional power of the 1408 2500 kV motors. It's gonna feel fine when you take off and go for it. So a nice combination of some real nice changes on this design versus some of the other ones. Like this full top plate design is really kind of 2 years ago. We're all looking for that center plate release nowadays, and Gep just took it one step further with excluding this piece of carbon here over top of the ducts. And I think that's really what makes a big difference here as far as getting this one lighter than the rest of the pack. Let's go ahead and put that on the scale for you guys, zero out the scale, and see where we're at with our weight. And let's just set this guy on there and get it perfectly on the scale so you guys can see exactly what it weighs. So we're up to right around 300 grams. That's really good. The other guys that are the big competitors to this quad, they're not weighing in at 300 grams. I will guarantee that to you. So let's check out the chasers. And again, the chaser kind of has that big extra addition of the top plate there. And the chasers is at 320. So 20 extra grams there. And that's partially because of the top plate and the full-size air unit. So Gep has the advantage by putting in that Vista on there. That really lightens it up quite a bit. And then look at the Taycan. The Taycan is a beast in 2021. We're talking 363 grams there for that quad. And the 3D printed inserts, they're also kind of getting old school now, but most of these guys are doing much more rigid and durable prop inserts for you guys with these molded plastic inserts. So, you know, we're right around 300 grams with this one, and it's really, really lightweight. So one of the one of the only other quads out there that is a budget-friendly quad that would be lighter than the Crown, it would be the Reptile Cloud series. The Cloud V2 would be the lighter version of the 3-inch Cinewhoop. So right now, Gep is kind of leading the pack with the performance, the new design, and a different power system on here that it's going to freestyle, or it's going to do, and I say freestyle, but I mean lightweight, like mild freestyle. It's not going to go crazy like a race quad would. So they have a lot going for this design. But 4S version or a 6S version, they also have really cool looking inserts that are green for the analog version. So this one looks a little different than the analog version, but the analog version is just above $200. So I would recommend that you guys get the 6S version. Whether you decide to get the analog version or the HD version, I think that the Crown is like another kick-ass release from Geprc, and I mean, you just pull it out of the box and it works. That's the biggest thing about Geprc. And this new F722, I swear to God, it's blowing these other flight controllers away. So F722 HD is really, really sick flight controller, and 4S or 6S capable. You can also buy a 6S and fly it on 4S, guys. So if you're brand new, you're a beginner, you want to start out on 4S and then move up to 6S later, get the 6S version and start out on 4S and then move your way up. You can fly a 4S 1300 on here, no problem. But you have a lot of options with the Crown. So thanks again for watching my reviews, guys. I'm Justin Davis, and I am very, very happy with the Crown. Might be the king of Cinewhoops for 2021, but you know, it's only February, so we'll see what happens coming up later this year. We'll see if anybody kind of beats out this 3-inch design, but it's going to be hard to do. So thanks again, guys. Please subscribe on the channel and click like on the video too. That really helps me out a lot. Take care. I'll see you on the next one.